Welcome to this video on how to contribute to InnerSourceCommons.org in your language. This is Yuki Hattori, the founder and the organizer of InnerSource Commons Japan community. First, I want to let you know that I have already created branches for several languages and added initial files for translation. If you don't see your language listed, please reach out to me on Slack. To start your translation work, click the branch selection button. For example, if you speak French, you can type I18N -FR, which is the French environment, French branch. FR is, as you know, that is a language code for French. Now you'll see the French environment. So you can clone the repository to your local environment and start your translation, or you can use GitHub Codespaces in your browser, or maybe Visual Studio Code. My personal preference is to use GitHub Codespaces in the browser. You can create your own Codespaces by clicking the plus button, but actually I've already have one, so I can open it in browser. As you can see that you can open it in Visual Studio Code locally. Yep. So once you are in the repository, you can directly edit the existing files and send a pull request to the relevant language branch. That's it. Very easy. For instance, I translate French file, welcome to InnerSource Commons, and I add exclamation mark to this. Yep. And you can commit to your changes. I won't commit that because it's a demo. But actually, before you start translation, there are two things you need to check: the content folder and config files for each language. First, let's take a look at the content files. Yep. In this folder, you'll find the content that needs to be translated. You'll see that I've already added some sample files for you to start translating from. Yep, these are the sample files. As you work, you may notice that this initial set of files is not complete. I've only included the minimum required pages for each language. The missing files will be automatically added when the website is built. If you want to learn more about how this works, you can take a look at the GitHub Actions file. However, I won't be covering that in this tutorial. Yep, and the GitHub Actions workflow file is here. Yep, you can take a look at these files. So, and if you want to have all the files available when even when building locally, we have a command set called internationalization.sh. I will talk about that later. And second thing you need to check is the internationalization configuration files. This file is mainly used to translate items that aren't specific to any particular page, such as the menu configuration files. In this file, you'll find language setting for each homepage. For example, there may be a placeholder for enter email that invites user to join a mailing list, and other strings like join Slack should be translated into each language as well. And also, yep, menu config file is used to translate the labels in the menu for each language. Please note that you should not edit the URL or parent value. So now let's see the changes I've made to the translation. To do this, type the command hugo server, and then you can check the production environment in browser. It's very easy. Yep. But yeah, as we can see that there are something missing, and this is because the hugo command is using localhost as the base URL and the specific port. I've written more about this in the documentation, but in short, you can pass the arguments to fix this issue, and then the parameters are written in here, internationalization.md file, and stop the hugo server, and boom. Yep. So you can now see the local environment like production, and which the French language is added to the environment. Once you've done that, you should see your edited file reflected in the environment. But what happens if we go further? There may be files that exist in the English version but not in the version you are translating to. For example, yep. And for example, board members page might contain minutes in English, but not in the French version. For instance, I replace a file with n. Oh, sorry about that. Yep. Yep. There must be the board meeting notes even in a French language page. So this means that any untranslated files are missing from the French pages, French page files. These missing files will be automatically added in the production build, but it can be difficult to check this in a local environment. Let's look at how to add files at these files that are present in the English version but not in the version you are translating to. You can either copy them or manually, or use the command. First, we need to grant permission for this file, internationalization.sh. To do that, run the command chmod. Yep. And then simply run the copy commands. And yes. This will allow you to add the missing files from the English version. The added file will be placed in the git ignore file under content. So let's check that. Under content, yep, there is git ignore file. So you won't accidentally commit them. The files are added git ignore file under content, not under root. This also means that any edited files will not be committed. If you add a new file, make sure to remove it from the list. Please note that this command will not overwrite or delete existing files, nor will it add existing files to git ignore. This allows you to see the translations even when building locally. And if you want to delete these untranslated files, you can use the clean command. This will remove all the files listed in git ignore under the content folder. Yep. Yep. That's it for this tutorial. Now you know how to add missing files and delete untranslated ones in your local environment. If you have any question or concerns, please don't hesitate to send me a message. You can also start a conversation on the local community Slack channel. Thanks for joining me in this tutorial.